Have you ever been told, "She doesn't care, just move on," only to feel something deeper hiding in her silence? What if that silence wasn't indifference, but calculation? What if the real game isn't about her ignoring you, but about testing how much of your self-respect you're willing to give away? They always say, "Forget her, move on," as if moving on were a switch you could flip, as if silence were proof she no longer cares. But here's the truth: no one tells you her silence isn't always confidence. Sometimes it's hesitation. Sometimes it's control. She's not ignoring you because she's moved on. She's quiet because she's watching, waiting, measuring. She's not done as she's checking if you are. And the second you slip, the second you reach out too soon, say too much, or ask the wrong question, she confirms what she suspected all along, that she still holds the power. But that ends today. Because the moment you stop reacting, you flip the entire script. This is not just a video about relationships. This is about control, about respect, about reclaiming the most essential thing you've been giving away without even realizing it: your response. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn how stoic, silence pure, deliberate, unshakable becomes the sharpest move in your arsenal. How restraint creates doubt. How non-reaction commands respect. And how pulling back your energy doesn't make you weak. It makes you untouchable. So sit back, lock in. Because after this, you'll never chase anyone again, not because you're bitter, but because you've finally remembered who you are. And before we begin, leave a comment right now. I will never chase again, not just for others to see, but so you remember. Every time. Part 1. The Awakening. When silence opens your eyes. Read the game. Why reacting always costs you more. You think this time it's different. You care. You show up. You stay consistent. And just when things seem to click, she pulls back. Suddenly, you're glued to your phone, checking for notifications that never come. Reading old messages like sacred texts, trying to decode what went wrong. You replay her tone, the pauses, the silences, hoping to spot the shift before it became a storm. And that's where the trap closes. Because the second you start reacting, you've already lost your edge. In modern relationships, just like in war, business, or politics, everything is about leverage. And nothing surrenders your power faster than overreaction. You double text. You apologize for things you didn't even do. You try to fix what isn't broken because deep down, you're terrified of losing her. But here's the truth you're not supposed to hear. A woman will only play these games with a man she hasn't fully decided on. A man she's still testing. A man she's not sure she respects yet. So what is she really watching for? Not your gifts, not your attention. She's watching how easily your emotions can be manipulated. She wants to know, can I shake him? Can I make him dance for my silence? And most men, without knowing it, say yes. But the moment you stop reacting, you stop playing her game. And the second she sees her silence no longer controls you, that's when you stop being an option and start becoming a mystery. Flip the power. Why her silence only works if you break first. She used to text you first thing in the morning. Now nothing. She used to plan ahead. Now she's too busy. She doesn't call, doesn't reach out, but she watches your stories like clockwork. She wants you to see she's out with friends, looking good, living her best life. And you know why? Because she's not done with you, she's testing you. Every action, every delay, every moment of absence, it's not random. It's calculated. She's waiting to see one thing. Will you break? All she needs is that one slip in your self-control. The one text that says, "Hey, are you okay?" The one call you make to check in. That's when she wins. Because in that moment, she knows the truth. She still has power over you. And that's all she needs to keep the game going. Understand this. The second you show her that her silence gets a reaction, you hand her every ounce of leverage. Now she can pull away further. Now she can treat you like an option because you just confirmed you'll wait. But the most dangerous truth of all? She only plays these games with men she hasn't fully chosen. She's still assessing your strength, your sense of self, your emotional discipline. And when you crumble under her silence, you show her the one thing she feared to confirm, that your worth still depends on her validation. And when she sees that, she stops pulling back and starts walking away. Because women don't chase men who need them. They chase the man who doesn't flinch when they disappear. Part 2. The reversal. When silence becomes your weapon. The shift. When your silence turns doubt into power. She thinks she knows you. She believes she's seen this pattern play out a dozen times. Pull back, and he'll come running. Ignore him, and he'll fight for her attention. Delay a response, and he'll try harder to impress. But then something happens, something she didn't expect. You don't react. You don't double text. You don't chase. You don't even flinch. And suddenly, her confidence begins to fracture. This is where everything starts to shift, because now she feels something foreign creeping in doubt. At first, it's subtle, a flicker in the back of her mind. Did she misread you? Was this not the type of man who needed her approval? That flicker turns into tension. That tension becomes fear. Fear that she just lost something rare. Fear that maybe, just maybe, you were the one she should have kept. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. Doubt is more powerful than desire. Desire fades. Doubt lingers. And now, she's the one stuck in that spiral. Checking your profile. Replaying your last words. Wondering if you've moved on or if she's just being replaced. But here's where most men ruin everything. She sends a message. Something vague, something safe. "Hey, hope you're doing okay." And just like that, they take the bait. They respond too fast, too eager, too emotionally available. And the moment she sees that she knows the truth, she never really lost you. But when your silence holds, when you leave her message unanswered, when you show her that her attention no longer validates your existence, you become unforgettable. Because in a world full of men who need something from her, you became the one man who doesn't. And that, my friend, that's where power lives. The silent reversal, when she starts playing your game. You didn't chase. You didn't react. You didn't even flinch. And now the roles are starting to reverse. You were once the one checking your phone, waiting for a reply, analyzing every delay like it meant something. But now she's the one doing it. While you're out there leveling up, focused, unbothered, she's unraveling, refreshing old messages, rereading the last thing you said, wondering when the dynamic changed and how she lost control. That's the thing about silence. It's not empty. It echoes. She might post a picture with another guy. She might go out more, laugh louder, dress better. But none of it is casual. It's calculated. A last attempt to be seen by you to feel your attention return. But it doesn't. And that's when the panic sets in. Not the drama queen kind. The quiet, creeping kind. The one that sits in her chest when she realizes she no longer knows what you're thinking. You used to be predictable. Now you're unreadable. You used to chase. Now you're gone. And that mystery, that uncertainty, it becomes obsession. Not because she loves you, but because she lost the one thing she craved more than affection: emotional control. Now, she's living in your old shoes, waiting, watching, wondering. And the most powerful part? You didn't say a single word. The test: when her message is a trap, not a reunion. Then it happens. A message, not an apology, not a confession, just a vague little line. Hey, hope you're doing well. And just like that, your chest tightens. Your mind starts racing. You think maybe, just maybe, this is the moment she finally realizes what she lost. But it's not. This isn't her reaching out from the heart. It's not about love. It's about control. It's a test stand most men fail. She's not checking in because she misses you. She's checking if you're still emotionally available, if you still crave her attention, if she still owns a space in your mind. And the weak man? He takes the bait. He replies within seconds. He lights up, thinking it means everything's changed. But the second she sees that eagerness, that instant reaction, that emotional exposure, knows she hasn't lost you at all. And with that confirmation, she disappears again. Because it was never about reconnecting, it was about reassurance. She just needed to prove to herself that you were still there, still reachable, still waiting. And once she gets that answer, you become irrelevant again. That's the cruel truth. So here's what you do. You don't reply. Not to breadcrumbs, not to half-effort check-ins, not to messages designed to stir your emotions. But avoid accountability. Because the man who values himself doesn't respond to uncertainty. He responds to clarity. And until she brings that, she gets nothing. Because silence is not just a tactic, it's your armor. And in a world full of emotional games, your refusal to play, that's what makes you powerful. Part 3. Taking control. When the game turns in your favor. No reaction, no return. When her power collapses. You don't take the bait. You don't respond. You don't give her what she's used to, your attention. And that's when it hits her. Not because you said anything, but because you didn't. The silence that once made you suffer is now the very thing turning her world upside down. Now she's the one checking her phone. Now she's the one feeling the tension, the void, the emotional vacuum you used to live in. The roles have reversed and she's not ready for it. At first, she might send another message. A little longer this time. Maybe she brings up a memory, something nostalgic, something she thinks will pull your heart back in. Maybe she makes an indirect post, something designed to spark curiosity. Or worse, she starts talking to other men just to see if you'll react. But none of it is about genuine connection. It's all a strategy to provoke emotion, to force your hand, to test if she still has influence over your inner world. And here's where most men fall apart. They think, if I don't respond, she'll walk away forever. But here's the truth: if she's not coming back with clarity, accountability, and genuine effort, then she was never truly yours to begin with. She just liked knowing she could have you whenever she wanted. But the man who doesn't react, he becomes a mirror. He shows her the truth she didn't want to see: that control is gone, that you're no longer in her orbit, and that silence she once used to manipulate you, it's now the silence that frees you. Because real power is never in the reaction. It's in the calm refusal to play a game you've already outgrown. Doubt is her karma when she starts questioning everything. She thought she had time. She thought you'd always be there waiting, wondering, lingering at the edge of her attention like a loyal shadow. She convinced herself that no matter how long she pulled away, no matter how distant she became, you'd still be available the moment she wanted you back. But now, the silence is different. It's not the kind of silence that begs. It's the kind that radiates strength. And that's when the doubt begins to creep in. At first, it's a whisper. Why hasn't he reached out? Then it becomes, is he moving on? Then it evolves into something deeper, something far more unsettling. Was I wrong about him? That doubt grows fast because, in her mind, men are predictable. You were supposed to chase, to explain yourself, to fight for her attention. But you didn't. You disappeared. You removed your presence completely, and what you gave her instead was the unknown. And nothing haunts a person like the unknown. When certainty is gone, imagination takes over. She begins to spiral, checking your profile, watching for changes, looking at your photos not once, but over and over. She doesn't like your posts, but she's watching. She doesn't comment, but she's calculating. And the longer the silence continues, the deeper the doubt drills into her confidence. She turns to her friends, the same ones who told her you'd be back, the ones who laughed and said, "He's just another guy." But now, even they are starting to wonder. Because when a man doesn't chase, doesn't crack, doesn't flinch, becomes undeniable. And that scares her more than losing you ever did. You are no longer reachable when absence becomes the loudest message. She underestimated the cost of losing you. She assumed you were stuck in the same loop as every other man before you, waiting for her to circle back when it suited her, eager for even the smallest sign that she might still care. But this time, her assumptions have turned against her. The silence isn't temporary. The space isn't just a strategy. It's a shift in energy, permanent, powerful, unshakable. And for the first time, she feels something she never expected to feel from you. Distance she can't close. A creeping uncertainty starts eating away at her certainty. At first, it's just a flicker. Why hasn't he reacted? Then that flicker becomes fire. Has he really moved on? Her confidence starts to crumble. And now she's scrolling through your life from the outside, watching your stories, zooming in on every detail, searching for signs that she still matters. But nothing comes. No likes, no texts, no breadcrumbs back. You've gone dark. And that darkness makes her imagination run wild. She wonders if you've met someone new, if you've already replaced her. If you've become the man she once wished, you'd be but now for someone else. The silence that used to control you is now controlling her. She replays every conversation, every look, every moment she brushed you off. And what she once saw as dominance, she now recognizes as loss, because something inside her is shifting fast. The realization hits hard. Maybe she took you for granted. Maybe she miscalculated. Maybe she just lost a man who didn't just care but who was irreplaceable. And by the time she begins to grasp it, you're no longer reachable. You're not bitter. You're not hiding. You're just gone. And that absence? It's the loudest thing she's ever heard. The illusion shatters when her games no longer work. She told herself you'd be back. Her friends told her too. They said, he'll come around. They always do. She believed them. She laughed at the idea that you could walk away for good. But now, the silence has gone on too long. The uncertainty is spreading. And what once felt like confidence now feels like a miscalculation she can't undo. You're not just quiet, you're unreachable. And that's when the panic spills over into action. She starts doing things she told herself she'd never do. She begins testing the waters, sending subtle signals, trying to regain access to the attention she once had on demand. She likes an old photo. She comments something vague. She sends a message that feels accidental, but it's not. Every move is strategic. designed to see if you'll break your frame. And here's where the weak man slips. She sees that breadcrumb, and he grabs it like it's gold. He believes it means she's changed, that she's coming back for real. But the moment he responds too quickly, too warmly, she has her answer. He's still there, still waiting, still available. And just like that, the illusion she created for herself is restored. She doesn't need to come back because she never really lost him. But this time, she's not dealing with that man. She's dealing with the man who evolved, the one who doesn't respond to breadcrumbs, the one who understands that attention is currency and you don't hand it out to someone who tried to bankrupt you emotionally. You don't reward half effort with full energy. And now, for the first time, she's realizing the game no longer works. The bait is no longer tempting. The silence is no longer her weapon. It's yours. And while she's playing checkers, you're already out of the game, focused, grounded, gone, because your dignity isn't up for negotiation. Not anymore. Part 4. Redefining yourself. You're not the same man anymore. Her curiosity isn't commitment. Why you must stay silent. She's not done. Not yet. Her silence has turned into signals, subtle but intentional. She starts liking an old photo, reacting to your stories, sending harmless texts that say nothing but imply everything. Maybe it's a casual, just saw something that reminded me of you. Maybe it's a message sent at midnight, when the world is quiet and she's alone with her thoughts. But don't be fooled, these aren't acts of love. They're acts of curiosity. She's not trying to come back. She's trying to confirm you're still there. And if you answer, if you lean in, if you take the bait, even Ansish wins. Because she never wanted to repair the connection. She just wanted to prove she still had the option. She wanted to feel that she didn't actually lose anything. And when she gets that confirmation, she vanishes again. The message stops. The attention dies. And you're back in the same cycle she controls. That's why the strongest move isn't just silence, it's consistency. It's holding the line when she pokes, tests, and searches for cracks. Because if she truly regrets losing you, she won't send riddles. She won't throw breadcrumbs. She won't pretend. She'll show up fully, clearly, without pride in the way. She'll say it straight. She'll apologize. She'll take ownership. Anything less isn't a reunion, it's manipulation in disguise. And the man who knows his worth doesn't return for half effort. He doesn't chase curiosity. He waits for conviction. Until then, your silence is your shield. And every time you refuse to respond, you remind her, and more importantly, yourself, that you are no longer someone to be tested. You are someone to be chosen or left behind for good. When you build without her, the man she'll never get back. While she's busy second-guessing, testing, and seeking reassurance, you're building quietly, relentlessly. You're not sitting around checking your phone. You're in the gym. You're locked in on your goals. You're sharpening your mind, your body, your mission. Not for her, but for you. While she's entertaining distractions, you're eliminating yours. You're no longer that man who once waited for her to decide if you were worthy of her attention. That man is gone, and in his place stands someone new, someone untouchable, someone who doesn't look back, because forward is all he sees now. And here's the irony she never saw coming while she was playing her games. She created the very version of you she's now terrified of losing. The man who doesn't need her anymore. The man who doesn't hesitate. The man who doesn't care if she returns, because he's already returned to himself. And by the time she realizes it, truly realizes it, it's too late. Because now she's not just dealing with regret. She's haunted by a version of you she never got to meet, a version that outgrew her doubts, a version that moved forward while she stood still. And now she's chasing a memory, not because you asked her to, but because your absence forced her to finally see your value. And the man you've become? He doesn't come back for people who took him for granted. He doesn't rewind for the ones who made him feel replaceable. He builds a life so fulfilling, so purpose-driven, that the people who once played games with his time are left watching from a distance, wondering how they let something so rare walk away without a sound. The moment she feels it's over, when you become the lesson. She thought she was in control. She believed she could walk away, test your patience, stretch the distance, then come back whenever she chose. That was the plan. That was the game. She thought time was on her side, that her silence would keep you circling, that her mixed signals would keep you hoping. But something unexpected happened. You disappeared. You stopped reacting. You removed yourself entirely. And now, that silence? It's not a strategy. It's real. It's felt. It's permanent. And that shakes her. Because what she feels now is not dominance. It's absence. The absence of your attention. The absence of your emotional availability. The absence of your energy, something she once took for granted and now can't seem to reach no matter how many signals she throws into the void. And the most terrifying part? You're no longer sending any. She starts to panic, not publicly, not with a grand gesture, but internally, quietly. She thinks maybe she still has time. Maybe a vague message or a subtle like will reignite your interest. But when you don't take the bait, when your silence doesn't break, she realizes this isn't a phase. This is closure. But here's the twist. She'll never admit it. She won't call and say, "I messed up." She won't confess her regret, because that would mean surrendering her pretty end. This was never supposed to be her loss. Yet now, she feels it. Not because you told her anything, but because you've said nothing at all. And that silence? It becomes the mirror. She can't escape, the one that reflects the truth. She didn't lose the old version of you. She lost the man you became after her. Her final test, when she tries one last time to pull you back. She doesn't like this feeling, not one bit. She doesn't like realizing that you slipped away, that the script she thought she controlled has flipped completely. She thought she had more time to test, to tease, to circle back when it was convenient. But now, that window is closing, and desperation begins to seep into her moves. So she tries again, but this time, more carefully. Not with honesty, not with vulnerability, but with strategy. She watches your stories again, likes an old photo, sends another vague message, something light like, "Hey, just saw something that reminded me of you." Nothing bold, nothing real, just enough to see if you'll break the silence. But you don't. You leave her on red. You stay centered. You remain untouchable. And in that moment, something inside her truly begins to panic. Because now she has no idea where she stands. No confirmation. No reaction. No access. And the woman who once knew exactly how to provoke a response is now guessing in the dark. That's when she increases the pressure. Maybe she sends a longer message. Maybe she posts something emotionally charged. Maybe she starts talking to other men loudly just to provoke you. But you see it. You know what it is. And still, you don't react. Because now you're not playing her game. You're above it. You recognize that this isn't love. This isn't healing. This is ego, pride, and an attempt to reclaim control. And the moment you refuse to give it back, that's when she realizes, this time, it's different. You're not just being silent, you're gone. and she can't reach the man who no longer lives in the place where she left him. Part 5. Emotional detachment, the strength that sets you free. No response, no rescue. When you refuse to be her backup plan, she doesn't stop. She keeps escalating. Another message, a longer one this time. Maybe she brings up a memory, something emotional, something she thinks will shake you loose. Or maybe she posts something vague, poetic, nostalgic designed to trigger a reaction, just enough to pull your attention back in. And when that doesn't work, she goes further. She brings another man into the picture, not because she's moved on, but because she hopes you haven't. She wants to see if it'll spark jealousy, if it'll crack your armor, if it'll make you reach out. Because to her, a reaction means power. It means you're still reachable, but you're not. You've seen through it all, and that changes everything. You don't text. You don't explain. You don't try to match her energy. You stay still, focused, detached, not cold, just clear. Because now you understand. None of this is about reconnection. It's about validation. It's about seeing if she still has influence over your state of mind. And you've already withdrawn that privilege. You no longer give your energy to uncertainty. You no longer reward inconsistency with engagement. You've upgraded your standards, and she no longer meets them. And that, more than anything, terrifies her, because the man who once waited is now gone. The man who once needed closure has already given it to himself. The man she thought would always be available has become unavailable at every level. And the hardest truth for her to face? You didn't leave because you stopped caring. You left because you finally started caring about yourself. And now, there's nothing left for her to pull on. Because you're no longer looking back. Not out of bitterness, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that ever needed to. The invisible goodbye, when she finally feels the loss. She threw it all at you: memories, manipulation, silence, even other men. But none of it worked. Because what she didn't realize is that the man she's trying to reach no longer lives at that emotional address. She used to think she could control the rhythm, push and pull, disappear and reappear, and you'd always adjust to her tempo. But now, for the first time, she feels something she never expected from you. Stillness. Not coldness, not anger, just unshakable stillness. And that's what breaks her. Because she knows what that kind of silence means. It means closure. Real closure. The kind that doesn't need revenge. The kind that doesn't require announcements. The kind that happens when a man decides deep in his soul that he deserves more. That he won't keep spinning in a loop someone else controls. So she tries one last time. Not with an apology. Not with vulnerability, but with another test. Maybe she texts something safe. Maybe she posts something that she hopes will provoke. But this time, you don't even notice. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you've actually let go. You're no longer orbiting her. You're no longer hoping she gets it. You've moved on mentally, emotionally, energetically. And she can feel it. That empty space where your energy used to be, it's cold now, quiet, final. She knows you're not coming back, not because you blocked her, but because you stopped needing anything from her. And in that moment, she doesn't get closure from you. She gets the one thing she never thought she'd feel from you. Distance. Real, irreversible, and echoing louder than any goodbye ever could. She lost the man she never truly knew. She thought she understood you. She thought she had you figured out, filed away like every other man who once craved her presence. She believed that no matter what, you'd still be within reach, eager for attention, silently waiting for her to decide when to pull you back in. But what she didn't expect is the version of you she never got to meet. The man you became after she walked away. The man who didn't just heal, he evolved. Who didn't just let go of her, but let go of the need for anyone to validate him. And that's the version she now regrets losing. Not the one who waited by the phone, not the one who used to question his worth based on her approval. No, she lost the man who rose in silence, who found purpose in absence, who rebuilt himself in the void she left behind. And what cuts the deepest? She never even knew this version existed because she was too busy looking for weakness to recognize the strength quietly forming right in front of her. Now she's left with the echo of who you used to be, chasing a memory that no longer lives inside you. And when she scrolls through your life, hoping to find traces of the boy who once waited, she sees nothing but the man she cannot touch. And that man, he doesn't chase, he doesn't explain. He doesn't seek revenge, he simply outgrows. That's what she will carry, not guilt, not shame, but the slow-burning realization that she didn't just lose you. She lost the version of you that would have given her the world. If only she had recognized him before he became unreachable. Emotional detachment, the power she can't touch. Everything changes the moment you detach. The moment you stop seeking approval, the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop needing anyone to recognize your worth in order to feel it yourself. That is the beginning of true power. Because emotional detachment is not about being numb, it's about being free. It's the shift from constantly reacting to calmly observing, from needing validation to walking in self-respect. From being pulled by her every move to standing still when the whole game falls apart. Most men live like puppets deep to emotions they don't control, desperate for someone to respond, to affirm, to reassure. But the man who detaches, he's different. He's dangerous in the best way. Because he no longer fears silence. He doesn't crumble when attention fades. He doesn't chase what walks away. Instead, he steps back, he breathes, he rebuilds. He watches people show themselves, and when they do, he acts, not from impulse, but from clarity. And that's what she can't understand. She's used to men begging, explaining, trying harder. But not you, not anymore. While she's wondering what happened, you've stopped wondering entirely. Because detachment isn't about pretending not to care. It's about truly not needing the outcome to define your peace. And when you get to that place, when your emotions are no longer held hostage by someone else's attention, you become untouchable. She's not overthinking. You are. She's not suffering. You were. But not anymore. Because now you know the truth. You never needed to get her back. You only needed to get yourself back. And that was the real victory all along. Part 6. Total freedom. When you're no longer an option, but the standard. The one she regrets losing. When detachment makes you rare. She's not suffering. You are. She's not obsessing. You were. But here's the truth that finally breaks the illusion. The reason you were suffering wasn't because she left, it was because you believed your worth depended on her return. You were trained, conditioned, even praised for chasing, for proving your value by how hard you fought to get someone back who didn't choose you the first time. But that illusion is gone now. Because the moment you detach not to punish, but to reclaim, you become something most people never are, free. And in that freedom, you become something even rarer, valuable, not because she validates it, but because you've stopped needing her to. Most men are emotionally starving, chasing women for scraps of approval, begging silently to be seen, to be picked, to feel like they matter. But the man who doesn't beg, who doesn't flinch when she pulls away, who doesn't crumble when he's no longer the center of her world, that man becomes unforgettable because she doesn't see him as weak. She sees him as unshakable. And women don't chase men who are desperate. They chase men who don't need them. Because need is repelling. Strength is magnetic. And when you no longer need her to feel whole, she feels the shift. You're no longer the man who sent the long texts, the one who apologized just to keep the peace, the one who kept showing up even when it hurt. You're now the man who walks away without bitterness, who rebuilds in silence, who levels up in private. And the version she took for granted has become the one she compares every man to. But the catch is, by the time she sees it, you've already closed that door. And you didn't slam it. You simply outgrew the room. You are no longer an option. You are the standard. Most men spend their lives waiting for someone else to tell them they're enough, waiting for the validation, the attention, the green light to feel worthy. But here's the truth. No one is coming to hand you that permission. And the moment you stop seeking it is the moment everything begins to shift. Because when you look in the mirror and realize you already have everything you need within you, no one's silence can shake you. No rejection can redefine you. You don't chase anymore. You don't explain. You don't overthink her distance, because you've replaced her attention with your own purpose. And that's what she sees now. She sees the man who doesn't flinch when she pulls back. The man who doesn't chase after breadcrumbs. The man who walks into a room not seeking approval but owning his presence. And that energy, that quiet, steady certainty, it commands a different kind of respect. Not the superficial kind that craves likes or temporary affection, but the kind that makes people rethink how they treated you. Because now, you're not just another guy she could get. You're the man she can't forget. The man who didn't fold. The man who didn't wait. The man who became a standard, not a backup plan. And in today's world where everyone is desperate to be chosen, rarest kind of man is the one who chooses himself first. That's who you are now. Not an option to return to, but a level she can no longer reach. And when she finally sees that, truly sees it, there will be no words left to send. Just the silence she once weaponized, now echoing back as a mirror she can't escape. The untouchable man. When detachment redefines every relationship. Once you master emotional detachment, everything changes. Not just in your love life, but in every interaction, every relationship, every business deal, every conversation. People start treating you differently. Because they can sense it, you're not easily moved. You're not waiting on their approval. You're not emotionally exposed. You've built a calm they can't penetrate. And that unnerves them. Because in a world where most people are addicted to attention, addicted to validation, addicted to instant emotional reactions, your silence feels like a storm they can't predict. You don't react. You respond. You don't chase. You choose. You don't explain your worth. You embody it. And when people realize they can't pull you into their chaos, they start respecting your order. When they see they can't guilt you into compliance, can't manipulate your emotions, can't bait you with passive aggression, they back up. They adjust. Because they know they're not dealing with a boy who needs reassurance. They're dealing with a man who governs himself. And that kind of energy, it's rare. It's magnetic. It creates a new dynamic where you're no longer trying to fit in, but standing firm in who you are. People start second-guessing how they treat you. They start bringing more honesty, more effort, more respect. Not because you demanded it, but because your detachment made it clear you won't stay where those things don't exist. And when someone realizes they can't shake you, can't control you, can't pull you back into old emotional loops, they understand one thing very quickly. You are no longer someone to toy with. You are someone to reckon with. The final victory. You don't need her. You found you. This was never about getting her back. It was never about making her regret, or punishing her silence, or proving a point. It was about remembering who you are, rebuilding what you gave away, reclaiming your attention, your power, your peace. Because while she was wondering if she still had access to you, you were doing something far more powerful. You were building, quietly, patiently, without noise, without show. You were becoming a man no longer fueled by emotion, but guided by principle, no longer driven by validation, but anchored in self-worth. While she was hoping for a sign that she still mattered, you were finding freedom in the fact that you no longer needed her to. You stopped checking your phone. You stopped questioning your worth. You stopped chasing what was never consistent. And that silence? It became the birthplace of something greater you. A version of you no longer living for approval. A version of you no longer swayed by rejection. A version of you who doesn't flinch when people leave. Because he knows that the only thing he truly needs, he's already found. His own damn backbone. That's why she'll never forget you. Because you didn't beg. You didn't fight for her to see you. You let go. With grace. With stillness. And that kind of peace? That's something she can't replace. Because in the end, the real prize was never her attention. It was the man you became when you stopped seeking it. Now, you understand power isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. And once you reclaim that, no silence, no distance, no rejection can ever shake your peace again. If this message hit you in a place words rarely reach, leave a comment and write, "I choose my peace over everything." And if you're walking this stoic path with us, subscribe. Not for content, but for clarity, every single day. Because this is not about revenge. It's about freedom.